Hello and welcome to the fourth episode of the Bechdel Theatre podcast. I'm Pippa.
And I'm Beth.
And we're your hosts.
Hi everybody, we're here with Yolanda Mercy and Jade Lewis, actor and director from a new upcoming show, Quarter Life Crisis. Hi. Hello.
Hi.
This is Yolanda.
Hello.
And this is Jade.
Hi, everybody.
Do you want to crack on with some questions, Pippa?
Yeah, sure. So, I guess first things to start is, what are your guys' backgrounds and kind of like how did you guys get here and how did you meet in the collaborative process?
Yeah. Should I kick it off?
Go.
So, my journey to this point in life, I'm going to try and summarise it real quick.
Yeah.
You know, it can get really boring, like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
First I was
As I was born. And it was the winter time. Major plot points, I would say, is that I went to the Brit school when I was 14 years old. I went there and studied drama and dance, and I kind of then went on from there to Laban, where I thought I wanted to be a dancer because Matthew Bourne went to Laban, so I was like, I'm going to go to Laban and I'm going to hopefully get into his company. And it didn't work out that way because in my second year, the love that I had for theatre came back. Especially because I read Peter Brook's The Empty Space, and that book really changed my life and changed the way that I thought of theatre. And then I kind of became hungry to learn more. So at that point, do you remember this scheme called A Night Less Ordinary?
Yes.
Yeah. You can see so many shows for free across London if you're under 25 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I literally would go to all the theatres and I was like, this is where I want to be at. And then the Young Vic had this thing called Young People's Council, and I applied. Actually, I was interviewed by David Land, which I didn't know it was David Land at that point. I was like, oh cool, I'll get to meet two people from the Young Vic, this is great. And it was actually the guy who runs the building. And when I got the call, like, oh yeah, we're really impressed with you and we want you to be on our Young People's Council, I was like, this is great. So between my third year at Laban, I was going to the Young Vic a lot, going to see lots of shows, getting involved in theatre, got to go out to Manchester to Contact to see shows, and I realised there was a world outside of London. And that kind of got me thinking about world outside of London. That was like that thing in my mind. After I left Laban, did the whole jobbing thing, did a panto at the Lyric Hammersmith, which was great fun, did other little bits and pieces here and there, and then I kind of realised the I guess the roles that were coming up for me were really similar. And there's an Einstein quote that I love, is the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And I was like, but I want to be this character, but I'm always going up for the same thing and I'm always getting the same result. So maybe I should start thinking about a new platform or a new way of making work. I guess that's the next major plot point. Did the Young Vic Directors course. I knew I wasn't a director, but there was something about theatre that I didn't quite understand yet, so I went on that course to learn. Met Jade, and I said to Jade, I'm going to make a play. A year or two later, I guess, contacted Jade. She was like, cool. Then we made our first show, On the Edge of Me, and then I guess that's kind of led us to this point.
Yeah.
So you met on the Young Vic Directors course?
Yeah, Introduction to Directing. And I came from a background where playtime, was always role play stuff, with my cousins, even in school, and I used to dance as well. And then, I studied performance studies at college amongst other A-levels like history, German and mathematics, anyway.
Wow.
And then I did history as a degree, but I always loved theatre. I really loved creating work, like devising work. That was always my background kind of thing. And then studying history, I kind of missed theatre and I missed this whole thing. So when I was at Sussex, I was vice president of our ACAS Society, which was our African, Caribbean and Asian Society. And I formulated ACAS Arts. So basically we met up on a Tuesday, we played drama games, we did little sketches, all that kind of stuff. We did a couple of performances and I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. And it was always based off the drama stuff that I did when I was at London before I went to Sussex. And then I came back to London, and one of my friends, Alex, he did the Introduction to Directing course a year before me, and he was like, oh Jade, you should check it out, like you might be interested in it. I was like, alright, cool, yeah, I'll see what it's saying. And that was like my first time like going into a theatre as, oh, I could potentially do something here, do you know what I mean, rather than like seeing a show or something. So I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to knock these people off their feet. And I just went in there and I just was myself, and then they invited me to go up on the course, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. It was my first time really understanding or having an insight into what the director was, because I only ever saw theatre and performance from the actor's perspective.
Yeah.
And I knew I didn't want to act. You know, I was like, no, I don't want to be on stage. I want to make it, but not do it. That was my thing. And then, basically met Yolanda, and then what she said basically came into fruition. And then she presented me with a script, and we just ran with it.
Stars aligned.
Yeah.
So did you know when you were writing this script that you wanted Jade to direct it?
Yeah, 100%. You know, some people that you meet and you're just like, I want to work with this girl. I remember telling this friend that we had at that point, like, there's this girl called Jade. He's like, I know Jade. And I was like, I want to work with Jade. And he kind of beat me to it first. I was like, that's my friend. I told Jade. I was like, Jade's going to be my director. I was like, it's cool. It's cool. She's going to work on your thing and we're going to work together. And I went to work with Jade. I was like, yes, I get to work with Jade. And it was just, I don't know, I think it's really cool because our personalities are really different, but they work really well together. And I love being around Jade because Jade is that kind of, she anchors me as a person that can be quite like high energy, high intensity, let's do it now. And she's like, well, actually she's a bit more measured. And I love that aspect of you. You're so, like, it's so awesome to be in a room with you because you're like, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but how about if we think about it from this point of view? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you are so right.
Match made in heaven, it sounds like.
I know, dream come true. I love that story of like, you took her first. Like a theatre crush.
No idea that this was happening at the time.
Those little kid things when you're a kid, like, she was my friend first. And then you run out of the sandpit and you're like,
we can all be friends together.
It's great. I think it's great because I think that's what happens in theatre actually. You work with someone and then they work with somebody else, and it's kind of this sort of family that starts to build. Oh,
it's brilliant making those connections, isn't it? When you find out, oh, you know that person as well. Oh my gosh, we have so many friends in common. It's my favourite. So when you were writing the script, were you, the first one, did you always, like, did you sit down and write it, or was it kind of devising process, or were you like, I've got something to say, I'm going to sit down in front of a computer and type up a script and, like, create a character?
Yeah, I think with On the Edge of Me, my thing that I mainly did was worked in a traditional writer sense, because I did a writer's program at the Lyric Hammersmith, and that was my first proper program I got onto. Sorry, and it was with Duncan Macmillan. Oh my god! It's so funny.
He's so cool.
Everyone's jaw dropped.
Everyone's like, wow. And I'm like, yeah, but this was like Duncan Macmillan. Like, he was, and it was really cool to be in a room with him because I think Lungs had just gone out and he was still like waiting on the next thing. I don't know if he knew he was going to be doing all the cool stuff he's doing now. And there'll be points where like Laura Wade would come in and talk about Posh, or Simon Stevens would come in and talk about all of his work.
Oh my God.
And I'm just like, this is amazing. And I thought, well, I like to sit down and approach it as a writer, and then I'll be able to take it off and work with someone like Jade, and then start to figure it out as an actor. And then slightly with my writer's head being like, and we do it in the room together. This line doesn't make sense. Just cut it.
Yeah.
And it's good because I'm the writer, so I can...
Yeah, you don't have to phone anyone up and be like, do you mind if I cut that line?
I should call myself, shouldn't I? I should leave Yolanda, do you mind if I... And then I call myself, oh yeah, of course, it's fine. That would be so weird.
Well, I know there are people who do either a writer-director or a writer-actor job who very much have to separate the roles, have to be like, right, now I'm being a writer, now I'm being an actor, now I'm being a director, and kind of like say, you know, as a director, that line's shit, I'm cutting it, even though as a writer you might be like, oh no. So yeah, it's amazing to be able to switch hats so quickly like that, so fluidly. It's a great skill.
And so with your last play and this play, I mean, they feel like they're part of the same world. How did you kind of go from one to the other in Quarter Life Crisis?
It's interesting you said that, actually, about them being in a similar world, because I feel like in a way they are, but they're coming from completely different perspectives. And
it's a different character.
Yeah, it's a different character, definitely. And also it's a different journey for the audiences as well. And even in terms of like the elements of the shows are completely different. They might be similar in ways, but in actual fact they have different purposes and different means. So even, for example, the fact that it's Yolanda on stage and we do have a musical accompaniment on stage for both shows as well, but it's different types. You know, with On the Edge of Me, we had our pianist, you know, and it was more like an emotional kind of connection to the character and to the play.
Right.
Whereas this time we've got more of like a sound producing, quite electronic, cool kind of sound. Like it's musical, but it's more on the producer element rather than on the jazz element, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So it's a completely different take on music, and again, the story comes from, or the relationship with music more comes from the world of this character and the sounds that we live in today, and it's more that kind of a narrative rather than the emotional kind of narrative, you know.
So is it like the songs that the character is listening to rather than the songs that the character, they're like expressing feeling for the character?
Yeah, and similar, yeah, pretty much. At the same time, it's more like kind of capturing the place that we're at, or the set where we're in, or what would this character be hearing at this moment in time, as that's the kind of narrative that I feel Quarter Life Crisis kind of takes us, you know. We're literally following characters for both journeys, but yeah, it's more about place and time and people and community, whereas On the Edge of Me was more about what's this person feeling and what does that feel like, and how does that relate to this character on this journey at this moment in time.
Because that one was about like mental health stuff, wasn't it? On the Edge of Me.
Yeah.
And
will you give us a quick rundown
Yeah.
of what Quarter Life Crisis is about?
I was going to do it. I'm like, Jade always sums it up so much better. You know what it is? When you're so close to it, you're like, am I saying the right things?
I loved your description on your website.
Yeah.
That really got me. I
Oh,
was like, I
thanks.
definitely want to see
That
this.
was-
And I can totally relate.
That was us literally just in there
Definitely.
like, how can we make this really clear to our audience? That kind of thing we were saying about. Someone said to me, actually to be precise, this guy called Alex who works or owns their own company called Third Angel, and they kind of helped me to create the show. And they said, when you're making your second show, it's kind of like that second album. It's, as an artist, people know what your first album was like, and they love the first album. And the second album, you don't want to confuse people. Like, you don't want to go from R&B to rock in the second album. You want to have that R&B journey, but maybe it's going deeper. And with that deeper R&B journey, I would definitely say that Quarter Life Crisis looks at that whole thing about what does it mean to be an adult, and when do you become one. And then we kind of really talking about it as kind of that age angst and those generational pressures. So I kind of lifted a bit of my culture into and put into the show. I'm like, what am I saying? into. I'm about to spit rhymes. I kind of lifted my culture and put it into the show. So I'm Nigerian, and I'm second generation Nigerian, which has a lot more, I guess. It's kind of has a bit more weight, because I'm thinking, well, actually, how Nigerian am I? Because I was born here, so was my mum. We all don't speak the language, but I'm very aware of my culture. I'm very aware of the traditions. And actually, something really weird happened when I became about 25. The people around me who were second generation Nigerian or Jamaican or from any other country that's not the UK kind of started to tap into their ancestry. Like, one of my friends is like from Brazil, and she's like really coming into her culture. And to be really specific, her grandmother survived Auschwitz. So she's really, wow. I know. When she tells me that story, it always like hurts my chest.
Everything's to tap into.
So there's things that she taps into, and also friends who I know who are dropping like their English name and picking up their Nigerian name, because most of us who are from other parts of the world, some of us have different names. We're blessed to have a variety of names. I think it was that I really started tapping into. Anything you want to add?
For Quarter Life Crisis?
Yeah.
Nothing. I think you pretty much said it. I think for me, I feel like on the surface, it's quite a pleasure to watch, I think. And whereas On the Edge of Me, I feel like we really took our audience to like a dark place. We're like, yeah, we need to take them there, man. This is the plan, you know. Whereas this time for Quarter Life Crisis, it's more of a, oh wow, that show was actually, you know, it was fun and I was laughing. But the fact that, you know, this and this, that's actually quite real, you know. So it's more like a reflective kind of response, rather than taking an audience to the journey of, oh wow, I'm here and this is really real, you know.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes, you know, it's kind of just playing with darkness and playing with comedy in different ways. But I think what Yolanda was saying in terms of like this second album, we don't want it to be the same or have the same vibe as the first album. You know, it's kind of going to leave the audience feeling different than how they were when they listened to the first album.
Yeah.
This is first album, I felt like this. Listen to the second album, I feel like this. You know,
it's like an extension.
Yeah. And there's layers. I think sometimes when you're creating your first thing, you just have a single narrative, and even if there is to an extent a single narrative, there are, which I'm really excited about, and I'm so honoured to have people like Jade and Lilly, our sound visual designer. There's layers on it. So when I created this play especially, I went to Berlin because I was really inspired by how German artists make work and how there's layers. They might be on stage like acting, but the music is telling a story and there's projection telling a story, and I'm like, well, how can we do this with our work, and how can we translate that to make it feel like it's in ends, like it's from South London, it is Stockwell, what is that? And so getting into a room with Jade and Lilly making that, and Jade is from N, so Jade gets it. There's references that we can both be like, oh, she's like, actually I don't think it's that, it's this, and I'm like, oh yeah. Whereas Lilly's Canadian. Like Lilly's ends is different. Like Lilly's version of ends, he's like,
it's like mountaintop. I live in a mountain.
Oh my god! My favourite Lilly moment when I was like, oh yeah, I feel like this part would be like a Skepta, and then we were like, oh yeah, but we need some more girls in here. He was like, what's a Skepta? And we were like, what? What do you mean, what's a Skepta? Like, you need to go on a break now.
Yeah,
like
so some homework for you.
No, we did. We said it like tracks.
Yeah.
We were like, no, I feel like we should. It's Leave for the Bizzle Records. We're dropping like all of these like grime songs.
Yeah.
And he was like, I've done some research, and he comes back and he made this dope beat that I was like,
wow.
If I was an MC, I'd be like, this is the one that's gonna get to #1. When you hear the opening song for the show, which is going to be on our trailer. So when you hear our trailer, the beginning part of the trailer, that for me, that soundtrack.
Yeah.
Woo!
And he literally just turned up one day and he was like, oh, I've made this. And he was like, whoa. I was like, turn it up.
That was so fun.
We literally like spent a good like 20 minutes just like, okay, pull it back, like, oh, play it again.
That's amazing. So he just got it. Like from listening to all of your collections, he just went, right, I can make something that's like that, but better.
And I think it's always nice that, because we have the same references, I guess, Jade and I, because we understand it, but having somebody else who doesn't understand that world, then they bring something fresh into the room. And I think that's what, with this project, that's why second album wise, it's more exciting because we've got some fresh perspectives in the room. Like our set designer is French. She doesn't know about ends. She doesn't. She's like, she doesn't know all this kind of stuff. And the things that she brings into a room, I was like, I wasn't even expecting that kind of costume or that kind of set. You get it?
And I think what's interesting about that is that, so your big preview is at the Underbelly in Edinburgh, and so it kind of, you've got to be thinking about how to kind of like
it's not London.
How to translate it across
OvalHouse
or transform it
somewhere.
into another place with an audience you might not have expected, say, if you had it in South London. So I think that sounds like it's worked really well for you to have so many different outside eyes.
Who do you think your audience is going to be? Like, who do you think is going to really come and love the show? Have you got any expectation? Because it's.
I mean, I will be one of them.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I can imagine a lot of people in their 20s. I can really imagine coming to see it because I feel like the image that we have is quite friendly and kind of approachable, and it's kind of like, oh, I get this world, like an adult. Especially an adult wearing a party hat. Do you know what I mean?
You know what? I really loved that image because I thought, and I really loved the colour as well, and even just like the font and text you use, because sometimes I think when things are trying to be super like young person millennial, it can kind of trip up on itself and be trying a bit too hard when it's not authentic. I guess I'm thinking abstractly in terms of like when brands try to latch on to young people or something like that.
Oh, it's just embarrassing.
Yeah, and they use like a really cutesy font or something that then gets like overused or something like that.
Just put emojis on it everywhere.
Yeah,
it'll be for the kids.
And like it just like really making it contrived. And I thought that your image really spoke to kind of being new and coming from understanding young people.
You are, be authentic. So
if you're 50, be 50.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People can resonate with that, can't they?
Definitely. And it's because, we are millennials, so we kind of, we can't be the voice of every millennial without a doubt, but we can definitely talk about our experiences and kind of say what we like, and hoping that people who were born around the same time can also, get that vibe that we're trying to give off.
So do you think the quarter-life crisis thing is a specifically millennial problem? Do you think our generation is the ones that are having this crisis at this age? Or do you think maybe it's like older people might come and be like, oh, that was me when I was in my 20s. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that raises the question, to be honest, because I couldn't answer that question because I genuinely don't know, but I do feel that in terms of what our generation are going through, have been through, is definitely unique to our generation compared to the generations before. And I feel like Quarter Life Crisis explores that in its writing and in the play. And I feel that, you know, I feel like I've always known of a midlife crisis. So even when I was young, I always known that this thing exists. So, you know, that's, I guess, what our parents potentially were going through or coming up to, and our grandparents maybe going over when we were kind of growing up. So maybe that's how we know of it. I don't know. But then this thing of a quarter life crisis, it sounds quite new. I feel like I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of the phrase until quite recently, until I reached the age where it was relevant. So I wasn't sure if it had always existed or if like it's a new thing.
I reckon it's new.
That's happened from
things. I think it's kind of new. I think someone has claimed the word and put it out there, and then people then can be like, oh my gosh, I identify to that. But I think there are aspects that most generations go through. Like when I was making it again, when I was with Alex, when we were in the studio in Sheffield, and Alex, I don't know how old he is, so I'm not going to put him on blast, but he's not, I don't think he's a millennial, but we were talking about the whole aspect of names, and the thing about, I guess, dropping into that quarter life crisis thing is, I guess, I've always been Yolanda, but say, for instance, my nickname was always Yo-Yo. When is it that I become Yolanda? And it's around about this age where people go, oh, actually, can you call me by my full name now? And I was like, that's quite interesting, because it happened with him and other people that he knows. And I thought, well, actually, I want to drop this kind of thing into our play. And I guess millennials who've seen it, but I resonate with that. Well, that actually came from somebody else who isn't a millennial. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think there are things, those expectations are there, but I guess because of social media and all that kind of stuff, for our generation, it's become a lot more apparent. Back in the day, I guess if you decided not to go into a certain job, you wouldn't know how it ended up. But now you can go online and see someone who stayed in that job or stayed in that career. Like, for instance, I decided not to be a dancer. I went to theatre, but I can go on Facebook and see my mates who were, like, in amazing companies. I could be like, if only I pursued dance, maybe I could have been in a company like that. Probably wouldn't have. But maybe I could have. And I think that's what the thing is. Yeah,
but then there's also, we get the bonus of, like, making connections with people who we might have stuff in common with, but we would never have crossed paths with. So we'll meet people on the other side of the world or the other side of the country, or even in our own city, that don't work or live in the same area, and be like, oh my god, I really relate to you, and make friends like that, which is, you know, the plus side of being a millennial.
I think it's interesting talking about, like, coming into, like, adulthood and being a young person, millennial. Like, I mean, I guess I just feel so less comfortable considering myself an adult, but I still call myself a young person. I mean, I know I still am a young person, but, like...
It's when people start calling you madam in the shops.
Ooh.
And you're like, and kids go, that lady over there, and you're like, the lady!
The lady, or like no, women's alright, actually, but, like, when lady, you're right.
Even when people say that woman over there, I'm always like, is it me? Me? What?
Yeah, but I like to replay women, though, because I think too often we call each other and ourselves girls, and I like to try and reclaim being a woman.
It's
true, but there is, like, I don't know whether it's coincides with coming into being more into feminism, or whether it is my age that I've only started feeling comfortable with calling myself a woman in the last few years. I don't know, like, because I definitely wouldn't have felt comfortable as early 20s, like 21, 22, being like, you know, I'm a woman, don't call me a girl. I don't know, but I don't know whether it's an age or a awareness.
I'm not a girl.
Not yet a woman.
Yes, Britney.
That was Britney. It was.
So do you want to tell us a bit about the journey of this play? So tell us a bit about the Underbelly and Edinburgh and after that, and how that came about. And
speaking of sweaty venues,
that's what I was thinking.
The Edinburgh crowd is very special.
Whenever I talk about it, like, me and Jade are always like, oh my gosh, Underbelly, I can't believe this is happening. Because the first year I ever went to Edinburgh, we're talking about 4 or 5 years ago, the venue that I would always go to was Underbelly. And I remember seeing Bitch Boxer by Charlotte Grayson in there, and I was like, this show's amazing, and this venue's amazing. I want to have my show here one day. At that point, I wasn't writing, so I didn't know how it was going to happen. And I guess with this show, it kind of, when I made this show, Second Album Syndrome, I kind of thought it needs to be bigger and better. We need to do bigger and better venues, and do, I guess, the typical theatre route. And I guess taking it down a typical theatre route is Edinburgh. We need to do in Edinburgh. But I'm very aware that I do not have the funds to make that bad boy happen.
Oh my God.
But I thought, if I am going to go up, there are venues that I'd really love to go to, and Underbelly was always that one. I just thought that's where I saw the shows that I loved seeing, and every year I went, I'd always go to Underbelly. And so I guess when we did our first sort of section of this show, OvalHouse supported it and kind of helped us to start playing. We got supported by the Arts Council and all that kind of stuff. And we had a mini sharing at the beginning of this year. And I remember inviting the Underbelly team, and they were like, yeah, great. And we thought, okay, cool, let's see what happens. And I said, but we're still looking at programming, so we'll let you know. And I was like, right, so it's not going to happen. And then Jules Harworth was like, don't worry, you'll be fine. Like, they'll see it. And we were doing vaults, and we were doing sections of our show at vaults, weren't we? Yeah. Of Quarter Life Crisis. And
On the Edge of Me.
Yeah. Something old, something new. And then Vicky, or one of the team from the Underbelly, came. And then later on was like, hey, yeah, we're going to take your show on.
That's amazing.
We were so happy. And then not only were they going to take it on, they were also going to put it as one of their untapped artists. And I was like, what? And when I got that email, I thought it too, didn't I? And I was like, I looked at it and I was like, there's obviously a typo in this. Like, this obviously isn't for me, or like maybe she's made a mistake. And I must have read it like 54 times, and I just remember being like, I was shocked. I said it to you, and I'll let you tell your story, your part of the story.
Oh, my point. So I was in rehearsals at the Royal Court. I was assisting Debbie Tucker-Green at the time. And,
wow.
Can we just say
casual name?
Well, we'll go back to that, yeah.
What did you say about Jade? Jade has worked with some amazing people, and she goes, "Oh yeah, it was like when I was working with David Land." I'm like, wait, go back. You just said,
hold on.
Like, you work with some of the best directors in the UK theatre scene, in the world actually. And she's just like, yeah, when I was at the Royal Court. That's what I'm saying. She's very like level.
Yeah, I don't know as well, because I feel like with that experience as well, like assistant Debbie was just amazing, and she is phenomenal. But she's also like, she's like an auntie. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, she's just such a human. You know? Yeah. She's like, oh, come on, Jade, let's go get lunch. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm like, okay. Be cool. But no, so we was basically in the rehearsal room, and I like cheekily like checked my email. I was like, oh my gosh, what? I was like, oh. And then I was just standing there, and I was like, Jade, you're right. I was like, oh my gosh, our show's going to Underbelly. I was like, what? Oh my gosh, you're so sick. No way. Like, pause rehearsal and everything. I was just like, oh my gosh. And I was just like there on my phone, just looking at it, just like messaging Yolanda. And everyone kind of just let me like just have my moment kind of thing. And then someone was like, oh, ask Jade. And Debbie was like, I'm not asking her. She's all up in Edinburgh already. And it was just so funny. Yeah, and they've been really supportive as well, you know, like random messages here and there, and they're just like, oh, how's the show going? And like, you know, you're looking forward to Edinburgh? And I'm like, yeah. And yeah, it's just really nice to share that moment with it was so
with
weird.
Debbie Tucker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
amazing.
like, it's just the coolest, and it's one of the things that we realised when we got Underbelly and then putting it online, as you do, and like, oh my gosh, you've got this. The amount of people who just like messaged me on like the slide in the DM, they were like, oh my gosh, like congratulations, because you realise that people are secretly watching. They don't say anything until those big things come up, like Underbelly. Like, they were like, this is such an amazing achievement, because we know, like I know how huge it is to have somewhere like that have our show. Not only have our show, they're supporting it with 2 other shows. This Is Really Too Much, and with Prom Kween.
Does that mean they like throw loads of money into promoting it? They'll like feature it. What does that mean? Support you in the development? Or?
Yeah, so all things production, Underbelly are sorting out.
Wow,
I know. I was like, like I said, I reread that. I was like, wait a second. They were like, they're gonna have a billboard at the front, and I'm like, what? Like, I have dreamed for so long of a billboard at the front of a building like that. I mean, like, when we had our first one at Soho, do you remember the Soho one? Yeah. When we had it outside the Soho Theatre, right? This was the funniest. Like, we were like, excuse me, can you take a photo of us, please? And we were just like, posing. It's like, how often do you get
to
have...
like 12 different other pictures.
Yeah.
There was like 12 others, and then like our one. And we were like,
How often do you get to have your photo in, like, Dean Street, you know? And I remember some guy messaging me saying, oh, I think I saw your poster somewhere. I think think it was at Soho Theatre. And I was like, you think? It was.
It
wasn't at Soho.
Right.
Don't think it was.
Yeah.
And it's things like that. You just think, I can't believe that this was a dream that we had, a couple of years ago. And if anyone had told me, Underbelly will support your show, but I wish it will happen. But to actually have that moment of being like, wow, they are supporting the show with some other amazing shows.
And because we want to really tour this show as well, with what was great about On the Edge of Me is we ended up basically touring it, and it was like me, Yolanda, our musician, in his car, just driving up to Oxford, just driving up to Leicester, just
Manchester.
Oh
my Lord!
Oh Lord, yeah. It was us basically just taking this show. And now, as we have like our producer on board and all this kind of stuff now, Gemma, who's amazing, we've now got a nice platform in Edinburgh to invite these venues down to then get our spring tour, and even then from off the back of OvalHouse, where we got to do our first bite and like really test the elements of the piece, this, that and the other. We've again having people who are like, yeah, can you bring it to us in autumn, so we're basically getting our dates already, which is amazing. At the same time, we're still like, going through a redraft and, doing all these other little elements and these other little things. But yeah, we're getting dates later on, which is just great.
And improving Underbelly posters like that. Like, okay, let's have a look at your poster. Yeah, make sure you put the Untapped at the top. And I'm like, will I? And all the kind of stuff that they're like, oh yeah, well, there's workshops that we get to go to. But to be able to say, oh my gosh, this amazing theatre is backing us. If we have any problems, we can just email them and just be like, hey, look, can we chat?
Yeah, Edinburgh can be tough if you don't have that support. It's amazing.
It's got to be intense, every day we're working, every day. And I think it's good to be able to have other people around you who are going through the same thing, and that you can say, oh, I really can't be bothered. And it's like, yeah, it's fine, but you know what? Like, we've got this opportunity. Yeah, we've got this opportunity. Let's do it. Yeah,
Flying in the rain.
Yeah.
But if you can do it together, it's not so bad.
They're flying for us, which is cool. I know.
Oh my God.
I know.
You're like Edinburgh royalty. Someone else doing the flying for you.
No, not at all. Yeah. I'm sure we'll have to do some ourselves, but that was one of the great things as part of this scheme, because otherwise we couldn't afford to go up. No. It's not possible. Like, I've seen people who are crowdfunding and they're trying to crowdfund for like £15,000. Like, when I hit university, that was how much I paid for my 3 years, not for the whole summer.
Yeah.
So I mean, if it wasn't for that, we just couldn't go. And that's obviously, sometimes I think that's such a shame, because there are amazing artists who want to go up, and we all know the benefits of doing Edinburgh. So why is it that like a one-bed flat is going to cost you like $2,500 for a month? Why is it that you have to spend so much money on like flyering and all that? Isn't there a way to kind of support artists to make it accessible?
Yeah, well, I guess you found one route, but there should be probably more.
Yeah.
Do you know where you're touring yet, or are you going to announce that post Edinburgh?
I think we can say some of that. Well, there's a couple that are like top secret, but a spoiler is it's going to be in the northeast of England. So that's not too much of a spoiler. And I guess then we've got dates that we're going to. So we're going to Wolverhampton, we're going to Leicester, we're going to Leeds, we're going to, I think we can say this one. Ooh. We're coming back to London. Coming back to London. Let me just say that. November. Is there anyone else we've forgotten? We're going to Cheltenham. Oh my gosh, we're going to Cheltenham. There are more dates being added, because I said to my producer, I've set a number of the amount of tour dates that I want. And look, I gotta live my dreams.
Yeah, definitely.
And we're doing quite well. We've already reached 10, I think, or 15. We're on 10 now. I think we're on 10. Yeah, 10 dates, and there's way more that I want to do. And I think it's that having goals and kind of saying this is what I want to achieve. And I've had people laugh at my dreams and like, that's too ambitious. And then when I sit down and I really think about what they're saying, I'm like, is it too ambitious, or is it too ambitious for you?
Yeah.
And that's a huge thing, and that does happen. And I think that happens a lot in the world that we live in. I don't know if it's particularly in the arts, but I can say for me, within arts, because that's the only one that I know, people can only see the world through the lens that they're in. So when you come with an idea, they're like, that's not possible. Imagine if Steve Jobs listened to people. We wouldn't have our iPhones. And I think that I rely on so well.
Yeah.
It's
just computer in your pocket?
Exactly.
That's impossible.
Like, what is this nonsense? We got Microsoft. We don't need you, Apple peoples. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of like, cool, I'll show you.
That is good advice, though, like, sort of telling people about your dreams, because I think a lot of people will have dreams but kind of keep them to themselves and not share them with other people. But I think if you are somebody who, like, sends out a list saying, this is the number of tour dates I want, like, declaring them people who can help you make it happen. Being
That's
like,
very like The Secret, right? I haven't read The Secret, but I think
you better get The Secret. You need to get The Secret.
What is it?
Have you read it?
I read The Secret. It's a lot. It's dense. It's really dense.
Yeah.
It's really, Jade and I both like challenge each other when it comes to books, because I think that also goes hand in hand with being an artist. I've realised that beforehand I used to be really like artsy, like I'm just making work and it's like coming from the heart. Great, it can come from the heart. You've got to have a mind too, and that's how you don't get into these traps. That when I tell like my mum, for instance, who like is more business mindset, she's like, but how did you not realise this? When I'm like, because I'm an artist. What do you mean I can't pay bills with shirt buttons? She's like, no, you need to increase your fees every year. But Mum, that's not artsy.
I do it for the passion.
Passion don't pay the bills. And I'm like, this is the truth. And I think it's that Jade and I both read books that kind of get us thinking about ourselves as businesses. We are artists, but we are a business.
Yeah.
So we value our art, we value everyone we work with, and that's what I think people always are really surprised when they come into our rooms, that it is really fun, but we're also about the business. So we're also really clear about our brand and what we want to put out there. So there's certain things that people might want to put on the internet when they're working with us, but don't put that up because that's not what we're going for. Don't do that, because we've really spent time investing.
And sometimes, well, these people sometimes are working for like in theatre institutions and theatre buildings, and then they're kind of working with us, so sometimes they feel that something should be put in place, and we're like, wait, what should be put in place? Like, tell us. They're like, oh, have you guys thought about this? And we're like, no, we haven't thought about that. Okay, we're going to think about that for next time, you know. Able to not feel like, oh, we should have everything perfect already, because, you know, it's the second time that we're ever doing something like this. Of course we're not going to get everything right. And that's what we always like, well, sometimes I always say to Yolanda as well, it's like, it's fine, like, we know for next time. You know, we say it's always learning, it's learning. That's one thing that we always say to each other. And that's fine, you know, dust yourself off and you try again, you do it again, and you live and you learn, you know. So, not being afraid to fail, and not being afraid to put your hand up and say, okay, that was wrong, or that went wrong, because you're not going to make that mistake again.
Yeah, that's a good thing to learn from something if it doesn't work out how you want, or doesn't start off how you want.
You guys are so amazing.
I know. I think feeling like I need to sort out my life. I need to get my business on.
But you know what? It's all the reading / audiobooks. I do audiobooks, if I'm honest.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Technically, I have about 30 books in my bag on audio. It's great because I can go around and I can listen to books, and I'm just learning. I'm learning when I'm on the go, and it's something that whenever we're in our rooms, I love it when I am the dumbest person in the room, because that means I am learning. When someone comes in and says, this isn't going to work because in my experience this is how it's supposed to be done, and I'm like, this is great. Whereas if I'm trying to lead the room, that's not a good look, because I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I don't think that's how you grow.
I mean, it's beneficial for all the other people in the room, but if you're the smartest person in the room, you're the one doing the giving.
I want to learn, I want to absorb, you know.
So what I was thinking, maybe we could link this in, your feminist faves. Yeah, inspirational people. Any books that you'd recommend? The Secret? Anything else?
My one, that I just love her, like Lilly Singh. I don't know if you know her.
Oh, I love Lilly Singh.
Okay, Superwoman.
How to be a what is it?
How to be a boss.
I haven't read it, but I've
This
watched
book
her.
is like awesome because she talks about things that I can't even sit still. I'm like, if you can see me, I'm like jumping off my chair. Like, oh, because the thing I love about her is that she talks real. Like, so she suffered with depression, and going on YouTube helped her with that depression. Going out and telling stories and entertaining people, but also being really clear and smart about that whole thing of working with a team and learning how to work with a team. And she said that as well about do not be the smartest person in the room. And that's something that keeps on coming up in books that I hear from people who've made it. They're like, never be the smartest person in the room because you're never going to learn. And I'm like, wow, that's so interesting. And I just love just the way that she's unapologetically who she is. And that's so hard in the world that we live in, especially being like a YouTuber. I'm sure that must be
She's
so hard.
so successful now, like across all the platforms.
Yeah. But she also talks about that grind, and of, like she said in her book, and I'm not going to give too much away here, that she's famous on YouTube, but when it comes to like trying to get into a film, she has to go back to the beginning. She goes into a room and people are like, sorry, who are you? And she's like, I'm Lilly Singh. And it's that great thing of having to humble yourself, because you're not always going to go in at the top in every single room. And I kind of like that. Like, I kind of had that moment a little bit yesterday. Like, not that I'm like famous, no way near that. But like people who on Facebook are like, oh, great work on homage of me in Quarter Life Crisis and Underbelly. But I met someone yesterday who does film, and she's like, oh, so what are you working on at the moment? So she has no idea what I'm doing. And it's so interesting because I'm like, we both kind of started off in the same world. She's now gone on to TV and film. She's kind of hitting it in her industry. I'm sort of working my way through my industry, but we both don't know what each other are doing, and we both have to start from the beginning in our industries because she's trying to get into theatre and she's finding it really hard. So it's quite interesting, that whole aspect of it. So yeah, Lilly Singh.
It's a great one.
Lilly Singh, Feminist Fave.
Yeah,
Yolanda Mercy's recommendation. Jade.
Oh, Feminist Faves. It's weird because I've got a couple, but one person, the first person that came to my head was Nina Simone. She's just amazing, and I mean, like, music is a big part of my life. And I grew up on jazz music. My mum, my granddad, and then I went into like my reggae because my family are Jamaican. But yeah, Nina Simone, because not just because she's like, her story, you know, when I've watched like documentaries on her and all this kind of stuff, you know, she's a classical, you know, pianist, and then she had to earn money, so she just started singing just because like they were like, dude, you need to open up your mouth, you need to sing. She's like, I can't sing. And she's like, well, you have to sing because we need that. And she just started singing. So she's not even like a trained singer, you know, and even she never cared about how she sounded. And you can hear it, you know, sometimes like sometimes me and my mum will be like, oh, this track by Nina Simone or whatever, and she goes off, but it's just like the most beautiful note. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just the raw passion, and it's just like the raw energy, that her storytelling through her music. I'm just like, Nina, what are you doing to me? And it's inspirational because, again, kind of going back to, you know, with Lilly Singh, right? Yeah, is that, you know, she's unapologetically who she is, and Nina Simone was that through her music. You know, when she decided to say, do you know what, I need to be more political, I need to stand up for my people. She didn't care what her husband manager was saying, who was an interesting character. Do you know what I mean? She just did what she had to do, and no one could stop her. And I feel like we do have those people around us, whether it's in our houses, you know, in our families, but even out there. But sometimes, I don't know, I feel like they're hidden, you know, we don't really see as many as them. It's only if we really know about that person or really invest in that person, we see those kind of characteristics within them. And for me, yeah, she's just like an amazing woman, you know, definitely ahead of her time, and her music lives on, you know. You go on the TV, you hear an advert and it's Nina Simone's voice, and you're like, what?
Oh, that makes me want to listen to it now.
Yeah, but yeah,
good one.
Yeah,
good choice.
She's one of mine.
Anybody else that you'd like to throw in there? Either of you?
Someone who I've always loved. So I like my sports. I do like my sports.
Oh yeah.
Because I watch my athletics, watch my Formula 1. Again, me and my mum, that's what we do. But Shelley Ann Fraser-Price, Jamaican athlete. She's not the fastest woman in the world anymore, but she was like the reigning champ for like 3 years, basically. Won the Worlds, won the Olympics, everything. And she's always been like, execution. That's all about executing the race, you know. She's like, yeah, you know, I never forget one video of her, and because basically her and Usain Bolt kind of came at the same time, basically. So when Usain Bolt won, she won, so she was like the female equivalent, basically. And there was always a thing of like, why do we hear about Usain, why don't we hear about her?
I was just thinking. Yeah.
And I was always like, I hear about her, I love her, like. And to me, the women's races are a lot more interesting than the men's, because the men's, you kind of know who's going to get like the top three. With the women, you have no idea, like it could be anyone. And Shelley Ann was always like, bang, 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 got it in. And I remember her first ever interview, and they were like, oh my gosh, Shelley Ann Fraser, like, how is it? She's like, what? Me just run and me just go, me just have to reach the line, and me don't know what happened, and just like this woman, she's just amazing. Yeah, that's my Jamaican accent.
And you ain't an actor.
Yeah, really, I'm not. I was just being really Shelley Ann.
You were being her.
I felt her.
I wish we could see the face, the body language. It was living.
Because I just remember that moment, and I was just like, wow, she's just a regular person, you know. Do you know what I mean? And she was so humbled by actually getting that achievement, and because of that, she's always been working hard and wanting to be the best and executing her race. You know, like it's always in the execution, and I've always kind of felt that. And she's expecting a little bubba, so I'm like, oh,
That's really cute.
yeah, I'll have her on Instagram. But
Another thing the male athletes do not have to deal with.
Yeah.
Right. Cool. Oh, that's a good one.
So, massive thanks thanks to Jade and Yolanda for joining us. Can't wait for your show. We'll put it all on the social medias and stuff like that so that people who are listening can follow it and follow you guys. I'm really looking forward to it myself. I think it will resonate a lot. Quarter life crisis.
Yeah. Well, I'm too old to have one of those, but no.
No, you're not.
No, I am going to live till 120. But I still can relate, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. I feel inspired as well.
Yeah,
by
me
all your
too. You guys are
feminist
great.
faves, and like I need to go and do some reading. So thank you so much for sharing those as well.
No, thank you so much.
Okay, and now for the final part of the episode, we're just going to let you know about some upcoming shows that we believe passes the Bechdel test.
They might pass the Bechdel test. They don't definitely pass the Bechdel test because we haven't seen all of them.
But we think they're worth watching.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely lady heavy.
The first one that we've got is Scar Test, which is currently touring in June, but from the 5th of July will be on at Soho, and it's about life inside Yarlswood Detention Centre. If you don't know what Yarlswood Detention Centre is, I suggest you Google search it. It is basically a prison for asylum seekers, and it should be made illegal. And not too many people know about it, so I think this show will probably do a really good job of informing and engaging with actual lives of the women inside. We also have 12th Night on at the Globe, which Beth went to go see.
I did. It was so much fun. It was in a very similar vein to Emma Rice's Midsummer Night's Dream last year. 12th Night was just fun, just a laugh, really.
Yeah.
It was set kind of in the early 80s, I think, or late 70s, with a few mullets going on, lots of bright colours. They all come on stage to "We Are Family."
Oh, really?
Yeah, exactly. That sets the tone. And then there's Gâteau Chocolat as Feste, who is fabulous in a sequin gown. And there is Katie Owens playing Malvolio. So when at the National Theatre earlier on in the year, Tamsin Gregg starred as Malvolia, and she made it into a female character. And similarly at the Globe, we have a woman playing Malvolio, but she's stuck with Malvolio as a male character, and it's a very kind of highly strung, angry, insecure little man character. And Katie Owens, hilarious. She played Puck in Midsummer Night's Dream in Midsummer Night's Dream last year, and she was brilliant, and she's equally brilliant in this. Just an absolute joy to watch. And also Viola, the actress playing Viola, was a brilliant kind of every woman character. It felt like she gave the audience way into this crazy world, because it is a bit over the top and it is a bit full on, like, you know, Emma Rice, all singing, all dancing, all sequins. But the woman playing Viola was very much like, what the hell is going on? Like, just a normal person, as if she'd just walked into this crazy world of clowns and really exaggerated characters, and was kind of having the same reaction as the audience. So it was really just beautiful and delightful to watch her navigate this world. She was in Girls as well, from that I saw at Soho Theatre last year, the same actress, and I don't know if she's going back up to Girls in Edinburgh, because Girls is going back up to Edinburgh, but 12th Night finishes on August the 5th, so maybe she will.
So many cross play things.
Girls was brilliant as well. You should go and see Girls at Edinburgh, but I'm sure we'll talk more about that closer to the time.
Yeah, I hope so. We've also got Anatomy of a Suicide, which is on at the Royal Court until the 8th of July, which is a lovely, fabulous pairing again by director Katie Mitchell and writer Alice Birch, about 3 generations of women. That one's supposed to be another one to look forward to. We also have Her Story Festival, which is on June the 18th to June the 19th, so probably one of the closer ones we've got on. Well, yeah. Which is a festival of snippets of new writing, kind of focusing on women. Lakani, who was in a previous episode of ours, is doing her show there, Can I Touch Your Hair? So please go and support her.
That's at Balham N16.
Balham N16, yep. And Beth, will you please tell us about Bechdel Testing Life?
So Bechdel Testing Life is my project that I have going on. It's my theatre baby. It is where I collect conversations recorded by real people, so you can join in by sending us a conversation, just you and another woman talking to each other, passing the Bechdel test about anything you want. It could be the most silliest thing in the world, or it could be the deepest, darkest secret. Send it to me, trust me, and I will send it along to some of our hugely talented writers who use the conversations as inspiration. Doesn't mean they're going to be like writing your story and putting it on stage, but basically they'll listen to the recordings and take whatever they want from it, whether that be a relationship, you know, oh, I'm going to write a play about sisters because I had a recording from 2 sisters, or whether it's an accent they heard or a theme that people were talking about. So I don't know what they're going to write yet, but we are staging the next 4 plays from this project at the Bunker Theatre in London Bridge, and it's on 22nd and 23rd of July. It's a Saturday and a Sunday, so you can come along and see 4 plays on your choice of Saturday or Sunday. The 4 writers that we've got are Isley Lynn, who did Skin a Cat last year at the Bunker, Rabia Hussain, who was part of the Bunker Without Borders. She had a piece on there, so they've both worked at the Bunker before. Gulran Amir, who did Coconut, and I love that so much, I was like, please come and write for us. And Lizzie Milton, who wrote The Breaks in You and I, which was on at the Hope Theatre, which was the one about 2 women breaking up with each other and their relationship. So there are 4 writers. I don't know what they're going to write yet, but I think it's going to be awesome. And last time we held a Bechdel Testing Life night,
it's sold out.
Thing. Yeah, it's sold out completely and in advance. So if you want to come, please, please, please do book your tickets and don't miss out. Yay! I'm so excited.
While we're here, can I just like reserve my ticket with you, by the way?
Yes.
Because I need to make sure I do that, otherwise I will forget. And then also we have Rotterdam, which is coming back to us in a different venue this time. It's on at Arts. Which one is it? Arts Theatre. Arts Theatre in the West End. Obviously, it started off in Theatre 503 and has done a huge kind of transfer tour since then. It's the story of a lesbian couple, and one declares that she's a man, and it follows their story about the transition, and it kind of found an audience that I guess no one really quite knew would exist in the way that it did.
Yeah, I don't think they were expecting like the phenomenal response they had and the size of the audience demand for a play about a trans character, but you know, good for that it bucked everyone's expectations and has been going from strength to strength.
Yeah,
it's
and
amazing.
It's coming back for another run, so that's on from June the 21st to July the 15th. So hopefully we might have some more details about that near the time, but please, please, please go see it, 'cause it's important to support those kinds of storylines.
And it's a really good play.
It's
really well written.
So that's the upcoming shows that we have in our pipeline. But also, for those of you who are thinking of going to the Edinburgh Fringe, especially after hearing about the wonderful show by Yolanda and Jade, which is on at Underbelly Cowgate, we thought we'd let you know about some other shows that are on at Underbelly Cowgate, because we reckon you could probably do like an Underbelly day. We've been trying to figure it out ourselves. So you could see a bunch of these shows all in one and just blitz it.
Yeah, so you go and see Quarter Life Crisis, which is on at 2:40 to start off your day. Then you get a little break. And then at 7:20, Underbelly Cowgate is the fantastic Joan, which I think we've spoken about before. Mm-hmm. It's the drag king cabaret retelling of the Joan of Arc story. And it's really like a huge amount of fun, lots of audience engagement, interaction, have a little bit of a drink. It's really, I mean, Joan of Arc is quite a harrowing story, but the way she tells it is just, it's great. Mm-hmm. It really fits with the Edinburgh crowd as well, because I saw it in Edinburgh last week, and it really brings people together.
Also, there's so the one straight after that one. So that one is 7:20, and then at 8:35 in the same building, there is also Prom Kween, which was also on at the Vaults where we were at earlier this year. Which is, we don't know too much information about that, but the description basically says about how one boy made herstory. So for those of you who watch RuPaul, much like I do, there's a lot of like RuPaul references. But it's a musical with original score written by Rebecca Humphreys, and they say expect lots of sequins. So I just expect it to be like kind of like on the drag theme, essentially.
Sounds good.
So we are hoping to do this
day.
So we'll probably make a hashtag for it. So if you're joining us, please do come along and use the hashtag.
Yeah.
So I think that's everything. We've got a lot planned for this summer. That's for sure.
Lots of sitting in dark theatres. Well, it's sunny outside. That's what we live for.
So please remember to buy your tickets. Please tweet at us. Please go and see Yolanda and Jade's play in Underbelly. Please go see all the other plays as well. And please let us know when you do. I think that's everything.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thanks, guys.
And thanks to Yolanda and Jade for coming and chatting to us.
Yes, they were so amazing. Right. Well, thanks very much. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.